My 10 years younger sister is trying to seduce my husband and I'm freaking out. My 30 female sister, 20 female, has started college in the city that my husband and I live in. There's a housing shortage here, and getting your own place may take 2 to 3 years sometimes, so she moved in with us. We live in a 4-bedroom apartment. She moved in last week in November. Everything was great at first. Later I started noticing that she's very affectionate with my husband. When he works from home, she is home that day, making him sandwiches, coffee, etc. She never uses the shower in her room because it's too small. Instead, she uses the bigger one in the hall so she can walk around in a towel, sometimes going into the kitchen to make tea when my husband is tidying up after dinner. She stands there in the towel chit-chatting. It feels so weird and perverted, to be honest. I mean, she's my baby sister. I thought maybe I'm overreacting because I seem to be the only one noticing anything weird. I've spoken to my mum about it, but she says it's in my head because my husband loves me and my sister loves me, and I'm just feeling insecure because I'm pregnant and have gained weight. I'm having a difficult pregnancy, so yesterday I took a day off and stayed in bed. My husband was working from home. My sister didn't know that I was home. She came home from the gym and she had bought lunch with her. She called out for my husband to join her, and I heard her loudly saying, "I bet you wish you had a wife who took care of you like this." I went to the kitchen, and she was in her sport bra and very small tight shorts. She was like, "Oh, I didn't know you're here," and she took her lunch and went to her room. I don't know what to do about this situation. I've mentioned this once to her about her walking around in a towel, but she laughed it off, saying that I was imagining things because I'm insecure. If I kicked her out, it would mean that she can't continue with her studies this year because my parents live 5 hours away. I'm not worried about my husband, but I think what she's doing is disrespectful, and for it to continue 1, maybe 2 years is honestly exhausting. What the hell is wrong with her? She used to be my baby girl. And now in the comments, that's beyond appropriate. Her laughing at the situation shows measures. I'd ask her to move. Oh yeah, she most definitely knows what she's doing. No telling what else has been said when OP hasn't been home. I haven't read far in the comments, but I wonder if OP has asked Hubs what else Sis has said in OP's absence. I'd have a serious think about possibly telling Sis to find somewhere else to stay by the end of the month. It gives Sis time to find somewhere so as to continue studies, just without tossing them and their treachery without warning. I couldn't just leave my brother stranded. I know not the same, just trying to see from OP's point of view, even after such a big hurt like this. And I think OP is conflicted about doing the same. You need to talk to your husband. Seriously, I'd hate to be married to somebody that I couldn't talk to. I imagine being hormonal, emotional, and being gaslit by your own mother doesn't help. I was prepared to say this could just be paranoia until I read the "didn't know you were home" incident. That was as clear a come on as can be. Out she goes. Yep, agreed. As soon as she started chatting about "bet you wish you had a wife like this" stuff, she's gone. I'm curious what the husband's response to a comment like that was, and unless this is the first time she's been so verbally overt, why on earth is telling his wife not his reaction to her sister saying something like this? What your sister is doing is beyond disrespectful and gross. She's literally trying to take your man when you open the doors of your home to her. I would sit her down and straight up ask her what is going on with her. If she tries to blow you off, tell her again very seriously and in a stern voice that you want to talk to her and you know exactly what she's doing. Tell her it makes you and your husband uncomfortable. Don't be scared to make her a little uncomfortable and throw all the weird and disrespectful things she's doing in her face. She has to acknowledge first that she's being inappropriate. If that doesn't work, have both your husband and you talk to her. Either way, she needs to get it through her head that it isn't okay. Husband needs to be loud and vocal about his displeasure in having little sis walking around in a towel, or leave every time she tries to engage in conversation with him. He needs to start treating her like a brother as well. If not, she's just going to keep viewing it as an encouragement or challenge. Something in your baby sister's head switched and made her view you as competition. If she keeps acting that way, kick her out. Why live with someone that's actively trying to sabotage you? That is no sister. And now on to the update. Since my mother and sister dismissed me, I talked to my husband. Thank you for suggesting that. He told me that he has noticed my sister acting weird around him. He was, however, very uncomfortable talking to me about it, since it was my idea that she should live with us. I might think he's making things up to kick my sister out. He said the days he's been working from home, she's been almost always home, walking around in her underwear or tiny gym wear. He asked her on a number of occasions to put more clothes on. She laughed and asked if he's not used to being around confident women. She also always talked me down in front of him and commented things like, my bad posture, or my old age, or I wonder if she'll be able to lose her baby weight. I was appalled. What the hell is wrong with my sister? I have never had problems with her, and I always took care of her growing up. I decided that she must leave. I have been trying to find a place for her in the city, and I know one of my colleagues' grandmother rents rooms for students. She lives near campus, so it would be perfect for her. I didn't want to break the news myself to her, because by now, I know what she would say. That I'm so jealous and threatened by her. So I asked my husband to talk to her. Apparently she broke down crying, asking him if I put him up to this. He told her that this was his apartment as much as it is mine, and he's not comfortable having her around. He told her about the new arrangement that we've made, but if she didn't like it, she was welcome to find a place on her own or move back home. She's getting until the end of the month. Today, she was so angry with me. She told me that if my husband really loved me, I wouldn't have felt so threatened by her. She was also mad because now she'll have to pay rent and live in a smaller room. I don't know. I feel sorry for her, but I'm honestly shocked at how callous she is. When did this happen? Only yesterday, she was my baby who waited for me to come home on holidays to try my new clothes and makeup. Now she's shut in her room, only speaking to me to call me pathetic and insecure. I'm so miserable right now. Now in the comments, it needed to be done. She was inappropriate and taking advantage of the situation. Parading around scantily dressed and making comments against you to your husband caused this, not you or hubby. She can cry all she wants. She brought this on herself. Don't let her talk to you like that. Remind her it is your home and your husband. You tried to help her out and she crossed a line trying to seduce your husband. He wasn't interested and she needs to move. You are not jealous or insecure. She's a bitch thinking what she did is okay. She has grown into a person no one will want in their home. Her actions demand a response, and she got hers. Good for you and hubby. I think it's really worth drilling into her that the husband is fully on board with all of this. He is not attracted to her physically or emotionally. She's not tempting anyone. She's just embarrassing herself. Maybe that'll be the kick in the pants that she needs. It was cute when she wanted to try on your clothing and wear your makeup. Now she wants to put on your life and wear it like a skin suit. Don't feel bad for her. She needs to grow up and find her own identity. Yeah, I saw the line about wanting to try on OP's clothes and makeup and was wondering, maybe she's always looked up to OP and wanted to be like her, and now it's crossed into a territory where she's literally trying to become OP. Maybe she sees OP's husband as OP's possession, something for her to try on whenever she sees fit. Just like the clothes and makeup. I don't know. Sis 2 used to sharing, but this isn't a sister-wives situation. Well done for presenting a united front and doing what needed to be done. She is lucky to be getting till the end of the month with the way she's behaving and has behaved. I would have sent her home until she could move. Her education is not your problem, and if she missed uni for 3 weeks, so be it. Better than calling you pathetic whilst living in your home for free. She sounds completely unhinged, and I'd be worried she might make false accusations against your husband or you. She doesn't seem above getting petty revenge. You should really consider having her in your home. She's not the baby sister that you knew and loved. If you are determined to house her, I would impose strict house rules. No going into your husband's office, no parading around in clothing that makes you and your husband uncomfortable, no mean, ugly comments. And if she breaks the rules, you can have your mother pick her up. This is true. Her behavior sounds a little sociopathic, to be honest. A lot of these kinds of bad behaviors can be traced to some sort of trauma. Regardless of cause, she might benefit from therapy. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for saying my husband is a good father? When he was in his early 20s, my husband got a girl pregnant. They were casual dating in college, they had a lot of mutual friends. He didn't want to be a dad and told her as much, but she was adamant about keeping the baby. He was supportive through the pregnancy, but was clear he didn't want to be involved. He wanted to renounce his rights, but ended up with an agreement where he still pays child support, but doesn't do visitation nor has involvement in any parental decisions. The girl is now 12. He hasn't met her, nor plans to ever do. I met him 8 years ago. We've been married for almost 7. He told me about the whole having a biochild out there very early on. I was, and am, fine with it. It is sad that a child came to the world under those circumstances, but I don't think he was wrong for choosing not to be involved. We now have a 5-year-old son. My husband has always been wonderful to me. That's why I fell in love with him. He was great during the pregnancy and birth, and has been doting on our son and me ever since. I think he's a wonderful dad and husband. The problem. 2 of his friends married their college girlfriends, whom were and are friends with his bio daughter's mother. In now 3 occasions in conversations where I said my husband is a wonderful father, one of them said something snarky and mean like, yeah, to only one of his children. Over the weekend, we attended one of those kids' birthday parties. I was chatting to another mother about motherhood and said that it's easier when you have a good team player in your spouse. The homeowner mum chimed in to say loudly, if only the mother of his other child had the same. Later, I confronted her in the kitchen, said I was very tired of her and other friends' comments about my husband, that she didn't need to invite us to things or spend time with us if she didn't want to, but it was super disrespectful to be constantly insulting him as a father. She told me she initially liked me, but finds it distasteful and rude that I keep praising my husband as a good father when I'm well aware that he isn't. That she will always make sure to correct me because it's not okay that he got away with what he did, and he now gets to play happy family with me and our son. The conversation went south from then on, and of course we left. The other mum friend texted me yesterday to tell me she completely backs up what the other said, and that I'm horrible for marrying and having a kid with a deadbeat, and on top of it, to praise him as a good dad. I have no doubts of my feelings. My husband has been and is great with our son and with me. I guess I never thought how my words could be insensitive towards his bio daughter and her mother, whom I've never met. But am I the asshole for occasionally saying my husband is a good father when talking to people? Should I stop? And now in the comments, not the asshole. If the situation was different where your husband didn't pay child support or have this agreement with the mother, then I'd be with them on this. But obviously that's not the case. The fact that he has an agreement with the girl's mum means those women tossing shade his way need to chill the fuck out. It's not their business, nor will it ever be. There are plenty of guys who take zero responsibility, including child support, but he didn't just dip out without a word. My personal feeling is that he should have owned up to being a father from the jump, especially if he was going to be paying for it all the same. But it ain't my business. I'll let the mother handle what needs to be handled here. So should those women who are way too interested in other people's business. Maybe move on in your guys' lives from people who knew him as that person. My child's father has 4 children, 3 of whom he is not in their lives. He has a kid and skips from woman to woman. I'm sure his girlfriend goes around talking about what a great father he is. Truth is, they feel that way about him, so why even be around them? Not the asshole, but dude, if you're gonna keep them in your life, maybe just stop saying that stuff. I get it comes up in convo, but you need to have a bit more awareness. Not the asshole. Your husband made it perfectly clear he wasn't ready to be a father. If he went into his bio daughter's life now and disrupted her life, that's equally as shitty, and Reddit would be mad about that just as much as they are mad right now. He is paying child support and made an agreement with the bio mom. This does not make him a deadbeat. Also, from your comments, it seems like your husband's friends' spouses are going out of their way to eavesdrop and butt into your conversations to point out your husband has another kid. Why do they even invite you out if they don't like your husband? I get that their spouses are your husband's best friends, but why can't they have a guys' night? Why do they have to do the whole group get-together? Not to mention the harm this may cause your son. It seems like they are saying all of this with the kids around. Everyone talks about the possible harm your husband not being active parent could have possibly done to the girl, but no one talks about how these comments could also be hurting your son. Overall, not the asshole, but maybe just stop speaking about your husband parenting your son around these people. They are just waiting to crap on him every chance they get. And now, on to the update. The verdict on my original post was not the arsehole, but people were raising concerns about my husband's bio daughter's well-being. I also got advice to cut contact with this woman and to tell my husband, Tim, what they were saying about him. So I spoke with Tim after I posted here. He decided to speak with his friend John about what his wife Jane was doing, and we will cut Jane off. After Tim spoke to John, we learned the truth. Turns out this wasn't about Tim or me at all. I can only say what John authorized me to share. Even when this is anonymous, he prefers not to go into details. While still in college, John and Jane also had an unplanned pregnancy, and he wanted an abortion but she didn't. They were still discussing what to do when she had a miscarriage, early stage. They never told anyone because she didn't want to, and John respected her wishes. My husband never knew about this and felt terrible for them. While they moved on and eventually got married and had kids, it's obvious she isn't over it and harbors resentment towards him for his stance at the time. Since our son was born, it seems she has been occasionally unloading her feelings onto Tim because she feels this is how it would have gone for her if she didn't miscarry. This is what John said. I have not spoken to Jane, so I don't know her side. John confronted her after Tim spoke to him. They had a big fight because John did not like her actions and immediately saw what the real reason was behind them. He is staying in our guest house for almost 2 weeks now, but we hope they will work through it for the sake of their family. She hates us even more now though for hosting him, so we are not really sure how our friendship will fare if or when they reconcile. The most important part of the update. John contacted his bio daughter's mum, Callie, after fighting with Jane. He told her everything and asked her to stop feeding Jane's irrational feelings, because she was taking them out on us instead of him, and causing problems for Tim. Callie ended up contacting me on social media. This was an absolute first. We have never interacted in any way before, and I did freak out about it when I saw her first message. She was wanting to speak to me, mother to mother, and clear things out. So I responded, and we got chatting. Tim was informed. She said she wanted me to know she didn't want anything more from Tim than what they had agreed on, that she never fed anything to Jane regarding him, they don't even talk that often, and she wanted no part of this mess, nor to be dragged into it. I told her that we had a feeling she wasn't involved in the situation and appreciate her telling me, but really, this had nothing to do with her, and I apologized if the drama disturbed her and her daughter. We got to chatting from there on, and she's a lovely person. She is married, and her husband Sal has been in their daughter's, Ellie, life since she was about 2. She calls him Dad. They also have a younger daughter together. She knew about Tim being married to me and about us having a son because apparently Jane shared those things with her despite her telling her she had no interest in hearing about him. So I updated Tim of my chats with Callie all along. After some reflection and back and forths, we ended up having a video call, the 4 of us. Tim and I, Callie and Sal, just this past weekend. It was awkward at first, but we talked about Ellie mostly. We saw pictures of her. She's a beautiful girl. The gist of this is, Sal and Callie have been wanting him to adopt Ellie officially, but they were honest about how their finances would suffer from losing the child support, plus the biggest obstacle was they didn't want Ellie to lose her college fund/trust fund from Tim, because they would have a very hard time providing college funds for both their daughters in their current situation, and all the more without the child support. They are not poor nor anything, but they just don't have the means for saving away that much. Long story short, after this call, it was decided that Tim will renounce paternity and Sal will adopt Ellie officially, but Ellie will keep her trust fund/college fund. It'll be up to them to decide how and what to disclose to Ellie as for where the money comes from. But so far, she knows her bio father was doing his half of the financial responsibility. In other words, of course. So I don't think they'd lie to her about it. This will take some time to be finalized. We only just started, and we still need to consider if and when our children want to meet, which is a difficult topic to tackle, and we agreed to continue discussing it over time. But we are all happy. Tim says this is how it should have been all along, and Callie and Sal seemed thrilled about finally being an official family. There was even a very nice moment where Sal told Tim, "You have a lovely family," and Tim replied, "Thanks, so do you." So thanks, Reddit. If I hadn't posted here, maybe none of this would have been happening. And now in the comments, "Hi, I'm glad things got resolved. Out of curiosity, in your first post, you mentioned 2 friends saying snarky things. Did you figure out why the second friend is being snarky too? Was she just taking her cues from Jane?" And OP replies, "Hi. Yes, I did not mention the other friend because she ended up being not very relevant to the situation, and I didn't want to make the post too long and rambling. The other friend, who is also someone Tim knows from college, and she ended up marrying one of his friends, is basically a clique girl, just following Jane's lead. John is kind of convinced that this woman must have known about Jane's miscarriage, which pisses him off because she was adamant that they keep this between themselves. If I'm honest, I think he shared this with us because he felt she broke their agreement first. But this is all from John, so no idea how things really went. Anyway, she was just being Jane's sidekick and joining in her actions. The day of Jane and John's kid's birthday party, this woman wasn't there. She did express her support afterward, and Tim did reach out to his friend, her husband, about it. I did not speak to him. Tim says he seemed annoyed and apologized, said he had nothing to do with that, and reassured Tim he did not think ill of him, which was Tim's main concern, that his friend would actually be thinking that he was a bad man and not telling him to his face. So that was that. We are not talking to her either, and not sure we'll attend events in the future if she's there. But it's clear it's Jane's beef with us, or well, with John. I'm happy for Ellie that she was raised by a decent and good man in Sal, instead of someone like your husband who abandoned her immediately. And OP replies, "We are happy for Ellie as well. Sal and my husband are actually very similar, as they are coming to find out now that we are in communication with them as we complete all the paperwork. So I'm sorry you still feel the need to comment on him and dislike him, but none of us who are directly involved in this situation feel that way. My husband didn't abandon Ellie, he simply didn't father her. Sal does." I'm very much happy that all adults directly involved were honest and upfront about their wants, and more than fair to a semi-complicated situation. Your husband is a stand-up dude, the type of men that should strive to be when they participated in a delicate situation. He could have become the type of man portrayed in American media and talked about, a true deadbeat dad. But he simply respected Callie's wishes to become a mother and stepped up to the responsibility of providing for a person who he didn't consent to being a part of. I kinda hope that karma bites Jane, but I don't want their children to suffer, and it's appearing that it's gonna be the thing. They are a horrible human. And OP replies, "Honestly, I was feeling the same way about Jane, and John, her husband, certainly is still very angry at her and the whole situation, so they aren't quite there to try and reconcile yet, I don't think. But with him around the past couple weeks and talking about this whole issue made me feel sad for Jane more than anything. It seems she has some unresolved issues. That is, if we're to take John's word for it, but he never struck me as a dishonest person. And for whatever reason, she felt she couldn't come to her partner for help. Plus, she has crappy friends, because apparently the only person that knew about her miscarriage was the other woman that was just riling her up and being her sidekick in making snarky comments about my husband and me, when she should have been offering Jane support and trying to get her to find professional help. We really do hope they'll reconcile for the sake of their children, but it's still so recent that right now it's not even a full-on separation for them. John is seeing the kids almost every day though, so we do hope they won't suffer too much, beyond the fact that John isn't staying in the family home. Alright, and that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought about it, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.